The quantum detection array hummed beneath the Antarctic ice, its crystalline processors maintaining absolute zero temperature as they scanned the fabric of spacetime. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting the cascade of data streaming through the air. Something had changed in the quantum field readings, a disturbance that shouldn't exist according to publicly known physics. Admiral Harrison, she spoke into her neural link, I believe you need to see this. The response came instantly, Admiral James Harrison's weathered face materializing in her peripheral vision. Talk to me, Doctor. The quantum field distortions we detected last week? They weren't random fluctuations. Sarah manipulated the holographic display, expanding a section of space well beyond Neptune's orbit. They're ships, sir. Hundreds of them. And they're using a form of propulsion that's tearing holes in spacetime. The Alliance of Earth Nations had maintained the Antarctic facility, designated Project Oracle, for 15 years, ever since Dr. Chen's breakthrough in quantum field manipulation had revealed humanity's true place in the universe. The public still believed their most advanced technology consisted of primitive fusion reactors and chemical rockets. Reality was far different. Numbers? Harrison's hologram asked, his expression grave. 417 vessels, ranging from cruiser to dreadnought class. Their energy signatures suggest weaponry consistent with antimatter-catalyzed fusion, primitive by our standards, but still capable of devastating a planet's surface. Sarah paused, letting the implications sink in. They're maintaining formation at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Standard invasion pattern, according to historical data from other civilizations we've observed. Harrison nodded slowly. The Council needs to know. Prepare your full analysis for emergency session. And Sarah? He waited until she met his gaze. Your quantum camouflage network, you're certain it's holding? Absolute certainty, Admiral. They can't detect our orbital installations, the lunar bases, or any of our advanced technology. To their sensors, Earth appears to be exactly what everyone expects, a level 2 civilization barely reaching for the stars. The next 12 hours saw the Alliance Council gathering in the deepest chamber of their Himalayan facility. Representatives from Earth's 7 major power blocks sat around a circular table that seemed to float in darkness, their faces illuminated by soft blue light. Dr. Chen stood at the center, her presentation casting ghostly images of the alien fleet through the chamber. Their technology base is remarkably consistent, she explained. They rely heavily on brute force approaches, massive energy expenditure, conventional particle physics, and what appears to be a unified field theory that's at least 3 generations behind our current understanding. And they haven't detected our quantum tech? Counselor Zhang asked, leaning forward. They can't, Counselor. It's like asking a two-dimensional being to perceive depth. Their sensors simply aren't equipped to detect technology operating on quantum probabilistic principles. Admiral Harrison took the floor next. We've intercepted their internal communications. They call themselves the Imperial Consortium, a collection of roughly 3,000 civilizations united under single leadership. Their standard procedure is to offer membership or annihilation. Based on their records, most choose membership. And what do you recommend, Admiral? Council President Patel's voice carried the weight of 6 billion lives. We have 3 options. First, we reveal ourselves immediately and demonstrate our technological superiority. Second, we appear to submit while maintaining our secrets. Third, we fight them conventionally, which would result in significant casualties on both sides. Sarah cleared her throat. There's a 4th option. All eyes turned to her. We let them think they've won. We show them exactly what they expect to see, a promising but ultimately primitive civilization. We learn everything we can about them. And then, when the moment is right, we show them just enough of our true capabilities to make them reconsider their entire approach to galactic civilization. Silence filled the chamber as the implications settled. It was Council Member Patel who finally smiled. A lesson in humility, then. Not just for this empire, but for any others watching from the shadows? Precisely, Sarah nodded. We've kept our advances hidden for 15 years because we knew this day would come. Now we can use that preparation to change the galaxy's future without firing a single shot. Admiral Harrison's hologram gestured, bringing up a tactical display. We've already positioned our quantum fleet in probability space. They're everywhere and nowhere, literally, until we collapse their wave functions. We can respond to any threat instantly, while maintaining perfect deniability. And the public? Counselor Rodriguez asked. They'll panic when they see the alien fleet. Some panic might actually help sell our deception, Sarah suggested. Let the Empire see exactly what they expect, a primitive civilization confronting its first contact with advanced alien life. Meanwhile, we continue our real work undetected. The vote was unanimous. Earth would play the long game, drawing upon 15 years of hidden preparation and technology that operated on principles the Empire couldn't comprehend. As the council session ended, Sarah stood at a window overlooking the Himalayan peaks, their snow-capped summits glowing in the dawn light. Admiral Harrison's hologram appeared beside her. Having second thoughts? No, she said softly. But I am thinking about how this will change everything. Not just for us, but for all those civilizations living under imperial rule. They deserve a chance at true independence. One step at a time, Doctor. First, we have to convince an empire that they're dealing with simple primitives. Think you can handle pretending your quantum technology is just basic particle physics? Sarah smiled, remembering how her breakthrough had rewritten humanity's understanding of the universe. I've had 15 years of practice, Admiral. Let them come with their antimatter weapons and their space-time distortions. We'll show them exactly what they expect to see. Above them, invisible to both human eyes and imperial sensors, Earth's true defenses waited in quantum superposition, ready to collapse into reality at a moment's notice. The greatest deception in human history was about to begin, and its success would depend not on superior firepower, but on humanity's ability to appear exactly as primitive as the Empire expected them to be. The game was about to begin. The Imperial diplomatic vessel emerged from hyperspace directly over New York City, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns across the sky. It was a calculated show of force disguised as ceremony, exactly what Dr. Sarah Chen had predicted they would do. From her hidden facility beneath the Antarctic ice, she watched the Empire's first move play out through quantum-entangled sensors that the aliens didn't know existed. Captain Maya Rodriguez's voice came through the neural link, calm and steady, Oracle base, Shadow Fleet standing by in probability space. Just say the word. Maintain quantum indeterminacy, Sarah responded, her fingers dancing through holographic data streams. Let's see their opening move. Above Manhattan, the Imperial vessel produced a massive hologram visible to millions. High Commander Vixthar, a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple sets of eyes, appeared in the sky. The Empire had chosen their most impressive-looking representative deliberately, another predictable move in their standard playbook. People of Earth, the alien's voice resonated through every electronic device on the planet, automatically translated into all human languages. The Imperial Consortium brings you greetings and an opportunity for advancement. Admiral Harrison stood in the UN General Assembly, playing his role perfectly as Earth's military representative. To all appearances, he was just another surprised official dealing with humanity's first contact. Only a select few knew he commanded humanity's most advanced defense force. We welcome you to Earth, Harrison spoke, his apparent nervousness carefully calibrated. Your arrival is unexpected, but we are honored by your presence. Vixthar's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of supposed benevolence that Sarah's cultural analysis team had already identified as a sign of contempt in Imperial body language. We have observed your civilization's progress with great interest. Your potential is significant, though your technology is primitive by our standards. In the Antarctic facility, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. If they only knew that their entire communication was being conducted through her quantum transmission network, subtly inserted into their systems without their knowledge. Their advanced technology was child's play compared to what humanity had achieved in secret. The consortium offers you membership, Vicstar continued. Your world will receive access to imperial technology, protection, and trade rights. In exchange, you will contribute resources and acknowledge imperial authority. The alternative. A pause for effect. The alternative would be unfortunate. The threat hung in the air, exactly as intended. On screens worldwide, carefully orchestrated scenes of public panic played out, people rushing to stores, military vehicles moving through streets, emergency meetings of world leaders. The Empire's observers recorded everything, missing entirely that it was all precisely choreographed. We request time to consider your generous offer, Harrison replied, his voice carrying just the right amount of fear. Our world's nations must consult, our people must be prepared for such a momentous change. Vicstar's gesture of agreement carried clear condescension. You have one planetary rotation to provide your initial response. Choose wisely, humans. As the hologram faded, Sarah's quantum sensors detected Imperial probe ships entering Earth's atmosphere, cloaked by what they thought was undetectable technology. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through again, they're scanning everything, Doctor. Military bases, power plants, communication networks. Let them see it all, Sarah replied. Operation Shadowfall is proceeding exactly as planned. They're about to get a masterclass in confirmation bias. Across the globe, carefully prepared scenes played out for Imperial observers. They saw outdated nuclear reactors, chemical rockets being prepared for launch, and military forces armed with projectile weapons. Everything confirmed their presumption of Earth's technological level. In the Himalayan facility, the Alliance Council convened again. President Patel's hologram addressed the gathered leaders, Phase 1 is complete. Their response matches Dr. Chen's predictions exactly. Time for Phase 2. Sarah stood before the council, her quantum interface showing real-time data from the Imperial fleet's position in the Kuiper Belt. They've positioned their main fleet exactly where we predicted, spread out to prevent any single strike from disabling them. They think it's a clever defensive formation. They don't realize they're exactly where we need them to be. Admiral Harrison's hologram nodded. Captain Rodriguez has our quantum fleet positioned in probability superposition throughout their formation. We can materialize our ships inside their defense grid at any moment. Not yet, Sarah cautioned. First, we need them to commit fully to their invasion plan. Their arrogance is our greatest advantage, let's not waste it. The next 20 hours saw Earth's greatest performance. Emergency broadcasts showed world leaders arguing about submission versus resistance. Military forces made a show of mobilizing outdated weapons. Social media erupted with carefully crafted panic and debate. Every second was monitored by Imperial observers who saw exactly what they expected, a primitive civilization struggling with its first contact. When Harrison delivered Earth's response to the Empire, his voice trembled perfectly, we accept your generous offer of membership. Earth submits to Imperial authority and requests guidance in joining the consortium. Vicstar's satisfaction was palpable even through the hologram. A wise choice. Prepare for the arrival of our integration fleet. Your world enters a new age of prosperity under Imperial guidance. As the transmission ended, Sarah stood in her quantum lab, watching the Imperial fleet begin its approach. They really believe it, she murmured. They think we're just another primitive world to add to their collection. How long should we let them maintain that belief? Rodriguez asked through the neural link. Sarah's fingers traced patterns through quantum data streams, monitoring the Imperial fleet's every move through sensors they couldn't even conceive of. Long enough for them to show us everything, their technology, their strategies, their weaknesses. Long enough for them to become completely convinced of their superiority. And then? Harrison's voice joined the conversation. And then we show them just enough of our real capabilities to make them question everything they think they know about the universe. Sarah's eyes gleamed with anticipation. The Empire is about to learn a very important lesson about underestimating humanity. Above Earth, the Imperial fleet began their approach, completely unaware that they were already surrounded by humanity's quantum ships, existing in a state of probability that their sensors couldn't detect. The next phase of humanity's greatest deception was about to begin. The Imperial Integration Center dominated what had once been Central Park, its crystalline spires reaching toward the sky like frozen lightning. 3 months into Earth's submission, Dr. Sarah Chen walked through its corridors, playing her role as one of Earth's awestruck scientists selected to learn from Imperial technology. Remarkable, isn't it? Imperial Technical Overseer Renval gestured at the quantum computation array that occupied the center's main chamber. This single facility has more processing power than all of Earth's computers combined. Sarah nodded, maintaining an expression of wide-eyed wonder while her neural implant quietly scanned the Imperial technology. The quantum computer before her was impressive by public Earth standards, and hopelessly primitive compared to the processors running beneath the Antarctic ice. "Tell me," she asked, carefully crafting her question to sound naive, "how do you manage the quantum decoherence at room temperature?" Renval's expression shifted to one of paternal indulgence. "My dear, quantum computing requires near-absolute zero temperatures. What you're seeing is our advanced particle manipulation system, which simply appears quantum-like to less developed civilizations." Through her neural link, Sarah heard Admiral Harrison's quiet chuckle. The Empire's advanced system was using principles Earth had surpassed a decade ago. But her face showed only earnest curiosity as she took notes on an outdated tablet. Meanwhile, across the solar system, humanity's true operations continued invisible to Imperial eyes. Captain Rodriguez's quantum fleet silently monitored the Empire's activities, existing in a superposition state that made them undetectable to conventional sensors. "Status report," Sarah sub-vocalized as she followed Renval through the facility. "Integration fleets have established bases on Mars and Venus," Rodriguez responded through the neural link. "They think they're impressing us with their terraforming technology. More importantly, we've identified 17 subjugated species within their fleet who show signs of resistance to imperial rule. This had been the most disturbing discovery of the past 3 months, the extent of the Empire's subjugation. Behind their talk of integration and advancement lay a system of carefully managed oppression. Every member species was kept dependent on imperial technology, their own development carefully stunted. "Watch this," Renval said proudly, activating a holographic display. "This shows the Empire's complete dominion over conventional physics. Something your civilization might achieve in a few thousand years." Sarah gasped appropriately while her neural implant recorded the Empire unknowingly revealing their technological limitations. Their understanding of physics was fundamentally flawed, built on assumptions that humanity had disproven years ago. In the Himalayan facility, the Alliance Council received Sarah's data in real time. President Patel addressed the assembled leaders, "The pattern is clear. They deliberately suppress scientific advancement, keeping member species dependent on imperial technology. They don't innovate, they dominate. Which makes them vulnerable," Harrison added. "They're so convinced of their superiority, they've stopped looking for alternatives to their established science. They can't conceive of the possibility that we've leapfrogged their entire technological basis." Sarah's voice joined the conversation through quantum channels undetectable to imperial surveillance. "They're preparing to begin Phase 2 of integration. They plan to upgrade Earth's infrastructure with their technology, effectively making us dependent on their systems." "Perfect timing," Harrison replied. "Begin Operation Quantum Shadow." Over the next week, subtle anomalies began appearing in imperial systems across the solar system. Communication delays lasted microseconds longer than they should. Energy efficiency dropped by barely measurable amounts. Sensor readings showed ghostly echoes that disappeared when investigated. Most unusual, Renval muttered, reviewing reports in the integration center. These variations defy conventional physics. Sarah watched him with carefully hidden satisfaction. Earth's quantum systems were beginning to interfere with Imperial technology in ways their science couldn't explain. The effects were so subtle that most Imperial officers dismissed them as measurement errors or system adaptations to Earth's primitive environment. But in the Empire's central database, accessible only to their highest-ranking scientists, a troubling pattern was emerging. Similar anomalies had begun appearing throughout Earth's solar system, affecting even their most advanced technology. It was as if the local laws of physics were slowly shifting, becoming less compatible with Imperial science. Perhaps we should conduct a full diagnostic of the integration systems, Sarah suggested innocently. I'd be happy to assist, though I'm sure our primitive methods wouldn't be much help. Renval waved off her offer with characteristic arrogance. These are merely transitional effects. The Empire has integrated thousands of worlds, every system experiences some anomalies during the process. But later that night, in her quantum-secured lab beneath the Antarctic ice, Sarah reviewed the day's data with grim satisfaction. They're starting to notice, but their paradigm won't let them see the truth. They literally cannot imagine that we've developed technology that operates on principles they haven't discovered. How long until the anomalies become impossible to ignore? Rodriguez asked. Within a month, their systems will be experiencing significant disruptions. They'll blame environmental factors, solar activity, anything except the possibility that primitive humans have surpassed them. Sarah's fingers danced through quantum data streams. And when they finally realize something is fundamentally wrong. We'll be ready, Harrison completed the thought. The quantum fleet is already in position, existing in probability states throughout their forces. At your signal, we can materialize ships inside every Imperial vessel simultaneously. In space, invisible to Imperial sensors, humanity's quantum ships maintain their vigilant watch. Within their probability fields, weapons existed that operated on principles the Empire couldn't comprehend. But Sarah's plan didn't call for destruction, it called for revelation. Let them keep thinking they're uplifting primitive humans, she said softly. Soon enough, they'll learn what true advancement looks like. And perhaps then, they'll understand why oppression can never lead to real progress. The Empire's great lesson was approaching, one quantum fluctuation at a time. The first major Imperial system failure occurred on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. The Empire's primary antimatter containment facility on Mars simply stopped. No alarms, no explosions, the supposedly impossible feat of antimatter just ceasing to exist. High Commander Vixthar stood in the Mars facility's control center, all four sets of eyes fixed on displays showing impossible readings. Explain, he demanded. We cannot, High Commander, Renval admitted, his scales dulled with stress. The antimatter didn't decay or explode. It's just gone. As if it never existed. In her Antarctic facility, Sarah watched the Empire's confusion through quantum-entangled sensors. Probability collapse successful, she reported to the Alliance Council. The antimatter has been shifted to an alternate quantum state. They literally cannot detect its existence anymore. How are they responding? President Patel asked. Exactly as predicted. They're running every test they can imagine, but since they don't understand quantum probability manipulation, they're looking in entirely wrong directions. The Empire's response proved her right. Within hours, their finest scientists arrived on Mars, armed with instruments that they considered the peak of technological achievement. None of them could detect the quantum-shifted antimatter that now existed in a probability state beyond their comprehension. But this was just the beginning. Across the solar system, carefully orchestrated quantum anomalies began affecting Imperial technology. Fusion reactors experienced unexpected efficiency fluctuations. Faster-than-light communications developed random delays. Sensor systems reported ghost images that shouldn't exist. This is impossible, Renval muttered, reviewing reports in the integration center. These effects violate fundamental laws of physics. Sarah, standing nearby in her role as the dutiful primitive scientist, offered an innocent suggestion: perhaps there are laws of physics we don't yet understand. The look Renval gave her was pure condescension. My dear, the Empire has mastered all fundamental forces. These anomalies must have a conventional explanation. That evening, Admiral Harrison's hologram appeared in the Antarctic facility. They're calling an emergency session of their high command. Our quantum intercepts indicate they're finally beginning to panic. Sarah nodded, her fingers manipulating quantum data streams. Time for Phase 2. Captain Rodriguez, is the quantum fleet in position? Ready on your mark, Doctor. Every Imperial vessel is surrounded by our ships in probability space. The next morning, Earth delivered its message. In every Imperial facility, on every ship, every screen simultaneously displayed the same image, a complete quantum-level scan of their entire fleet, showing details about their technology that even they didn't know. High Commander Vixdar received the transmission in his command center on Mars. His scales paled as he read the accompanying message. To the Imperial Consortium, your antimatter containment facility on Mars has not been destroyed. We have simply shifted it into a quantum state your sensors cannot detect. This demonstration represents a fraction of our true capabilities. The message continued, displaying mathematical proofs that sent Imperial scientists into shocked silence. Equations that showed their understanding of physics was fundamentally incomplete. Data that proved humanity had mastered scientific principles they hadn't even discovered. Impossible, Vixdar whispered. They were primitive, we saw their technology. Sarah's voice came through their communication systems, no longer playing the role of an awestruck scientist. You saw what we chose to show you. Your empire is built on the assumption that you represent the peak of technological achievement. That assumption is incorrect. To demonstrate the point, quantum shifts began occurring throughout the solar system. Imperial ships found themselves instantly relocated to new positions. Weapons systems went offline as their fundamental particles shifted to probability states beyond Imperial control. Communication networks connected to quantum channels they couldn't detect. We have no desire for conquest, Sarah continued, her voice reaching every Imperial facility in vessel. But we will no longer tolerate the subjugation of other species. Your empire has suppressed scientific advancement, keeping others dependent on your technology. This ends now. To emphasize the point, humanity's quantum fleet partially materialized, thousands of ships appearing simultaneously throughout the Imperial formation, their probability drives creating visual effects that Imperial science couldn't explain. Admiral Harrison's voice joined the transmission. You have two choices. Option 1, retreat from Earth's solar system, abandon your policy of technological suppression, and begin genuine cooperation with other species. Option 2, we demonstrate more of our capabilities. In the Antarctic facility, Sarah watched through quantum sensors as panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Ships tried to activate weapons, only to find their energy sources shifted to unreachable quantum states. Faster-than-light drives failed to engage as probability fields disrupted their functions. 300 years, Vixdar said quietly. The Empire has stood for 300 years, and never have we encountered. Perhaps, Sarah suggested, it's time for the Empire to learn what real advancement looks like. Your integration program was based on dependency. We offer something different, genuine collaboration. The choice is yours. The quantum fleet hung in space, existing in multiple probability states simultaneously, a demonstration of technology so advanced it appeared magical to Imperial sensors. The Empire's greatest nightmare had come true, they had attempted to subjugate a civilization far more advanced than their own. The next move would determine the future not just of humanity, but of every species in the Imperial Consortium. The Empire's response would show whether they could learn from this lesson in humility, or if humanity would need to provide more convincing demonstrations of their capabilities. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if an empire could learn to kneel. The Imperial High Council's surrender came not with a grand ceremony, but with a quantum transmission that rippled through probability space. The message was simple: we accept your terms. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Antarctic facility's quantum observatory, watching as Imperial ships across the solar system powered down their weapons. Beside her, Admiral Harrison's hologram showed a rare smile. They actually did it. They chose wisdom over pride. Pride comes after understanding, Sarah replied, her fingers dancing through quantum data streams. And they're just beginning to understand what humanity has achieved. In New York, the Integration Center underwent a remarkable transformation. Where Imperial technicians had once lectured humans on advanced technology, they now sat in stunned silence as Sarah revealed the truth about quantum probability manipulation. The Empire's greatest scientists watched in awe as she shifted matter between quantum states, manipulated probability fields, and demonstrated technology that operated on principles they had never imagined. All this time, Renval whispered, his earlier condescension replaced by genuine wonder, "You were watching us, studying us. Learning from you," Sarah corrected gently. "Your Empire's greatest flaw wasn't your technology, it was your assumption that you had nothing left to learn. Real advancement comes from collaboration, not domination." Across the galaxy, the ripples of change began. The Alliance Council, working through quantum channels, made contact with the 17 subjugated species they had identified. Each received the same message: freedom was possible, and Earth would help them achieve it. Captain Rodriguez's quantum fleet began its most crucial mission, not conquest, but liberation. They appeared above worlds throughout Imperial space, sharing technology that would free them from dependency on Imperial systems. But unlike the Empire, Earth's help came with no strings attached. "Your civilization will determine its own path," Harrison explained to representatives from each species. "We offer knowledge freely, asking only that you do the same for others when they need help." In the Himalayan facility, President Patel addressed the Alliance Council. Phase 1 of Operation Renaissance is complete. The Empire has accepted their role as equals rather than rulers. Now comes the harder part, helping them transform their entire society. The transformation wasn't simple. Centuries of imperial dominance had left deep scars on countless worlds. But humanity's approach, sharing knowledge freely while respecting autonomy, began to heal wounds that conquest had created. Sarah found herself working closely with Renval, who had become one of the Empire's most enthusiastic advocates for change. Together, they established the Galactic Scientific Exchange, a network where civilizations could share discoveries without fear or obligation. "I never imagined," Renval admitted one day, watching Sarah demonstrate quantum probability fields to a group of students from 12 different species, that being proven wrong could feel so liberating. 6 months after the Empire's surrender, the first Galactic Cooperation Summit convened in Earth's orbit. Representatives from 300 formerly subjugated worlds met with Imperial leaders and human delegates aboard a vast station that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, a physical demonstration of what cooperation could achieve. High Commander Vixthar, speaking not as a conqueror but as one leader among many, addressed the assembled species. "The Empire's journey from dominance to partnership has been humbling. But in humility, we have found a greater strength than conquest ever provided." Sarah, watching from her quantum lab, shared the moment with her team across probability space. "They're finally beginning to understand," she said softly. "Real power isn't about controlling others, it's about helping them reach their full potential." Admiral Harrison's hologram nodded. "And the best part? Every time we share our knowledge, they surprise us with new applications we hadn't considered. Turns out the Empire was wrong about more than just physics, they were wrong about the very nature of progress." The quantum sensors that had once detected the Empire's approach now monitored a galaxy in transformation. Where Imperial ships had once brought subjugation, joint scientific missions now explored the unknown. The probability drives that humanity had developed in secret became the foundation for a new age of exploration and discovery. Captain Rodriguez, commanding one of these joint missions, sent back a message that summed up humanity's victory: "We didn't just beat an empire, we showed them a better way to thrive." In her Antarctic facility, Sarah looked up at the quantum display showing thousands of worlds beginning to explore probability physics. Each point of light represented a civilization learning to reshape reality itself, all because humanity had chosen to share knowledge rather than hoard it. "Ready for the next challenge?" Harrison asked, his hologram gesturing toward a quantum anomaly their sensors had detected at the galaxy's edge. Sarah smiled, remembering how far they had come from those first fearful days of Imperial contact. "Always," she replied. "After all, the universe has endless mysteries to solve. And now we have endless friends to solve them with." Above Earth, the combined fleet of 100 species prepared for their first joint expedition into the unknown. Their ships, some Imperial, some human, some of entirely new design, hung in quantum superposition, ready to explore realities that neither humanity nor the Empire had dreamed possible. The age of empire had ended. The age of discovery had begun.